Hello, we are back with another film review, and today we're reviewing Scream 3. Oh my gosh, I'm making my way through this franchise, and I have to say, like, this one was the better one. I will say I definitely do like this one better than part 2, although people didn't really like this one because they did something different with the voice changer, where in the past, Scream films, you had a voice changer to modulate his voice. This one was like a little bit of a mimicry, right? So you'll call and then like you'll hear somebody else's voice as somebody that you think you're familiar with, but in reality it's the killer, right? I think that was a very unique twist, and it actually added a little bit more depth to Ghostface or the character within the context of this film, especially like early on, and how you able to do people, because like you think you're hearing this person like, and you don't know that it's the killer. So it's like, okay, yeah, so and so is calling for me. Let me go check it out. And then it turns out to be the killer, or when someone's trying to help you, and then you're not going to them because you think they're the killer. So it did give like a little play on the words on that retrospect, but then also the killer motivation and the final reveal of who it is, I thought was one of the best in the franchise. Basically, the killer is calling Sidney Prescott "mama's a hoe." like, there's no way there's no way to like cut, no way to say it any other way than that. It's like, not only was she's fucking Billy dad, she's fucked this other man, which is like, of course, Sydney's dad or whatnot. And then you have Cotton that plays into all of this. So it's like, oh my gosh. So like, if she didn't cheat, you would never get the killer that is. And then also, he's the one that's supposed to be the mastermind behind the other two. So like, when you think about Billy or the killer in the second film, they would have came to be because he's like, this woman cheated, I murdered her, and that's my motivation on that. But Sydney's also to blame for that, which is kind of isn't really fair to Sydney, because Sydney, it's like the sins of the father in a way, because like, just because her mom cheated doesn't mean that she has to pay for it. But he was dealing with abandonment issues, and crazy enough, even I think like, as a third entry in the franchise, it makes sense and it works, especially for him being the only Roy. I think it was the only killer that actually just did it solo in the franchise. So like, he's putting up major stats. Very phenomenal showing. And ranks of the kills that were executed in this film, I will say they're not as creative and gruesome as you would get later in the franchise. If like, one still takes the cake on that. But the way that he does catch them up, I will say, like, yeah, that's it's pretty tricky, because it's one thing of not knowing who the killer is, but also like, they play him up as being superhuman, and the mimicry and the voices is something that's definitely adds a little bit edge to Ghostface, but unfortunately it isn't something that I believe that is revisited later in the franchise. Um, what I will say that takes away, even though you do get the mimicry with voices, you do lose a sense of states. And this is my same complaint that I have with the films later in the franchise, is no one of importance dies, or it feels like they have the risk of mortality, right? Because in the context of this films, you have Stab 3 is releasing, and like, everybody's on the films yet. No one's really taking the kill seriously. And the people that are dying are the people that died in the order of the script, but also they're portraying the survivors. And so you have a bunch of cannon fodder. No one that matters dies. I mean, very early on in the film, you have Mr. Cotton dies. I don't know about you. I don't really give a fuck about Mr. Cotton. I thought it was pretty humorous, like the way the two ended. And she's like, you know what? You got your interview. Like, that was okay. But like, when he died, I didn't feel anything. And again, throughout this film, no one of importance dies. There was a MacGuffin when you have Sydney that's getting shot, and then she ends up having like that bulletproof vest. But the stakes really doesn't do it. So like, I think for the next film, they literally got to kill somebody in the intro, like somebody of importance in the intro, and that's gonna really, like, okay, the stakes are real, shit is real this time. Let me lock the fuck in, because when there's just fodder, people dying, people don't really care as much. I mean, granted, they're still trying to figure out who did it, but you still have Gale taking risks. You still have Dewey taking risks. Sydney comes up on the scene only because like she cares about Gale and the other characters. So it's like that's kind of annoying, but it's also at the same time I'm trying my best to accept like this franchise does that shit, and it's very true to nature. It's very true to the game. But yeah, I definitely had a blast. But if I'm still ranking the Scream films so far, I will say I'm putting Scream 1, 3, and 2. I know that's not very popular. I just really wasn't fucking with 2 as much. And the kills were kind of, a lot of them were just off screen, so I really wasn't fucking with it. Um, but I know as the series progressed, I think 6 was the most brutal. 7 was brutal as well. I recently did a review of that. If you want to check that out, but I look forward to continuing watching 4, 5, 6, and then like let's see where we go from there. But did you like the film? What are your thoughts? Comment down below, subscribe, and as always, Jarritos on me. Ciao.